Welcome to another evening in Kemitic astrology. Tonight, we will go and study and understand the Kemitic metaphysical system called the Duat. As we spoke about in earlier classes, Nu or Noon is the primordial waters of life. The hieroglyph is 3 wavy lines and 3 parts. In Kemitic cosmology, Nu or Noon represents the primordial waters of life, the infinite, dark, formless ocean that existed before creation. Nu is the sacred nothingness that gives birth to everything. Nu is not absence, but limitless presence before creation, the deep well of energy from which the Neteru, stars, and souls are born. We call it the subjective realm. Out of the subjective realm comes the objective realm, the realm of objects. This is the part that we call the Duat. The Duat is the inner temple of the soul, a sacred space of transformation, judgment, and resurrection. It comes from Nu, just like all things, but serves as a middle space between the source and the fully manifested world. Understanding the Duat means understanding that afterlife, dreams, and spiritual trials are all initiatory, not endings. To understand the Duat, you must see it within the larger cosmological picture of the Kemitic spirituality, where Nu is the infinite primordial waters, and the Duat is an inner realm within creation, a bridge between the spiritual and the material world. The Duat is the invisible spiritual realm, an interdimensional space between the physical world and the higher divine realms. It's not hell or heaven, as in later systems, but a mystical landscape of transformation, tests, and resurrection. The Duat is the domain of the soul's journey in the afterlife. The Duat is a realm of spiritual testing, rebirth, and reunion with the divine. A psychic space that also reflects the inner journey of the living. In Kemitic spirituality, the sun, Neter, Ra, travels through the Duat every night, entering challenges, gates, and Neteru, like a Pep, Ma'at, or Sar, before being reborn at dawn. The Duat is not just for the ancestors, it's also a map of the inner spiritual journey during life. When you meditate, dream, fast, or go through a crisis of ego, you're spiritually entering the Duat. Every initiation from shadow work to soul alchemy mirrors a journey through the Duat. The Duat is comprised of all frequencies of electromagnetic radiation that propagates energy and travels through the objective realm in the form of waves. Longer wavelengths with lower frequencies make up the gross physical plane. Shorter wavelengths with higher frequencies make up the inner planes of the Duat. The Duat has 7 prime levels. And each of these levels have 7 levels. And each of those levels have 7 levels. Similar to our 7 notes for music, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And we know that on a piano, these 7 notes are repeated in what we call octaves. The portion of the duat that we can see, hear, taste, and smell is called the Khat, Khat. This is the longer wavelengths of magnetic energy that make up the physical plane. Sort of similar to this fractal picture where, as you see, as deeper as you go into the realm of the physical, you see the same manifestation over and over and over on different octaves, different levels of manifestation, and this is just in the physical plane. So as below, so above. The wavelengths looks similar to a serpent. In ancient Kemet, we associated this electromagnetic energy or frequency as a snake with legs. The snake part represents primal power, eternity, and the divine. The legs indicate movement, action, and connection to the living world. Here we have another image of a serpent, which is representative of electromagnetic energy, with wings. Here, the wings are surrounding the Shen, which in previous class, we told you means eternity. Here we have the waves, the energy of the solar power manifesting eternally. Here we have the initiate invoking the serpent power, the electromagnetic energy. Also, as we see how the serpent's body naturally moves with the least resistance of energy on the earth plane, the serpent has no legs. And serpents are very swift in moving in this manner. They're moving along the least resistance of energy frequencies, propagating the earth plane. We call this energy or energy, the energy. In modern science, it's called the electromagnetic force. Types of electromagnetic radiation. We have the slowest moving wavelength used to broadcast radio and television. Then as the wavelength gets shorter, we call this microwaves, used in cooking, radar, television, and other signals. Then we have infrared, transmits heat from the sun, fires, radiator. Then we have the visible light. This makes things visible to be seen. This is the realm of the electromagnetic radiation that we're able to see with our physical eyes. Infrared, we cannot see infrared, we cannot see microwaves, we cannot see radio waves. And as the waves begin to move faster, they turn into ultraviolet waves, absorbed by the skin and used in fluorescent tubes. And as the waves get faster, use this called this X-rays, used to view inside of bodies and objects. And then we have gamma rays, used in medicine and for killing cancer cells. Here we have an image of a Nasut Beti, a king in Kemet. And as you can see, he has his hands, one hand is up, receiving the energy, and the other hand is down, giving. So it's a symbiotic relationship between the energies emanating from the sun, the solar force called Ra. Electrical current. We are all familiar with electrical current. We plug something into the wall and it gives us energy to work the object that is plugged into the wall. So if we for instance, like electricity cannot be fundamentally separated from magnetism because they are two manifestations of the same underlying electromagnetic force. While they can appear distinct in certain static or simplified scenarios, their interdependence is a core principles of physics. So instead of calling it electrical current, we should actually call it the electromagnetic current. Just like the above, so below. If we took a toaster and plugged it into this one source of energy we call electromagnetic current, then we're able to create toast. Same goes for if we plugged in our phone, this same energy transforms into usable interactions that we can use on these handheld computers. We plugged into a fan, same underlying electrical source, but as the outer form is different, therefore it manifests differently. So it's the same electrical force that can make toast, the same electrical force that we use to power our cell phones. It's the same force that we can use in order to relieve ourselves from the heat with a fan. Or if we plugged in a computer to the same source, we have a different external form, therefore the same electromagnetic force manifests through our computers differently than it would manifest through a fan or manifest through a toaster. We plug in a blender. We're not going to see anything on the computer screen because its external form is not made for that. But here we have the power transforming into a source that we can use for blending. We can take the same power and transform it into suction for a vacuum cleaner, or transform it into microwaves for heating or cooking food. Same underlying principle, external form is different, therefore it appears to be manifesting differently, but within it's the same source. So if we take the netta force, the orishas, the deities. Here we have Heru that gets its power and source of energy from the one. Here we have Orset coming from the one. We have Herukahuti, different external manifestation of the same underlying nether force. And Pu, Ma'at, Heteru, Osar, to name a few of the Neteru, or the deities of the Kemitic pantheon. Same underlying one power that manifests externally as Heru or Set, Herikahuti, Enpu, Ma'at, Heteru, Osar. In nature, we have the same underlying force that manifests as the trees, that manifests as animal kingdom, that manifests as minerals, that manifests as humans. The same underlying force that's in the minerals, rocks, is the same underlying force that's in the animals and in the trees. In the sun, that manifests as the sun, the one underlying netta force that manifests as the sun, manifests as the moon, and manifests as the stars that we see at night. The Paut Neteru, the hot, the cold, the dry, the moist, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and feeling. Note that when someone is not able to hear well or is deaf, that their other senses, the same underlying source, manifests itself through the other senses and makes those senses even stronger. And we have the serpent moving, the energy of the all, the one and only source that manifests in multiplicity of forms. Tonight, we're going to break down those different levels within the Duat. Some call this the astral plane. Some others call it the inner planes. So as we said in the beginning, we have Nu or Noon, represented as a circle with nothing in it, the cipher. So Noon has the powers of omnipresence, meaning eternally everywhere, all the time. Omnipotent, meaning all powerful, all the time. And omniscience, which means all knowing. Today's astrophysiology could represent this as dark matter, omnipresence, dark energy, omnipotent, and omniscience, all knowing. They haven't gotten there yet. Thank goodness. So if we take Noon plus a star equals the Kemitic symbol for the Duat, the inner planes. The star. In the Metu nature hieroglyphics, we see different representations with the star. Here we show it as a ideogram. This is the word Duat. In the pyramid text, we have it written, we have it actually spelled out D-A-T, Duat. The Duat has 7 prime levels. The circle, in the context of the Duat, the circle represents the wholeness and eternity. The circle has no beginning and no end, symbolizing the eternal nature of the soul and the cyclical nature of life, afterlife, and rebirth, a core concept in Kemitic cosmology. It reflects the divine cycle of Ra's journey through the Duat every night, where he dies and is renewed and rises again. The circle represents the hidden realm. The circle here is the domain of the unseen, the underworld, as some call it, the subconscious, or the realm of transformation. It contains the mysteries of initiation, trial, and rebirth, the soul's journey through darkness into light. The circle, in this context of the Duat, also represents protection and containment. Like a sacred enclosure, Zep Tepi, the sacred space, the circle forms a boundary between the physical and the metaphysical worlds. It protects and holds sacred power within it. The 5-pointed star inside the circle, this represents the divine light. The Kemitic hieroglyph, a 5-pointed star, often represents the stars of the night sky or the souls of the blessed ancestors who dwell in the inner planes. It reflects the Eku, the luminous ones, beings who have passed through the Duat, become shining ancestral spirits. Initiation and inner balance. The 5 points symbolize the 5 senses, or the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, spirit, pointing towards inner balance and spiritual mastery. Placed inside the Duat, the circle, it represents the soul undergoing spiritual transformation, being refined into light. The human form as divine temple. In sacred geometry and esoteric interpretations, the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, resembles the human body, head, arms, legs, extended. This aligns with Ma'at, divine order, where the body is a temple of divine expression. Combined symbol, the star within the circle. When you place this 5-pointed star inside the circle, you're looking at a powerful Kemitic initiation glyph. The circle is the place of trial, initiation, and hidden truths. The star is the soul, the Ba, undergoing refinement to become a luminous being, Eku. Together, they represent the path of ascension, the initiate's journey through darkness into divine light, achieving cosmic harmony and star-like immortality. The woman as the circle. In many ancient traditions, especially Kemitic spirituality, the circle is strongly associated with the feminine principle. The womb of creation. The circle represents the womb, the original space from which all life energies, which all life emerges. In Kemitic thought, this is embodied by goddesses like Nut, who arches over the world containing all stars in cosmic order. Eternity and enclosure. Women are seen as the keepers of time and continuity, the sacred cycles, such as menstruation, gestation, life, and death. The Duat itself, the woman as a circle, becomes the gate of initiation, the mystery through which transformation occurs, whether in physical birth or spiritual rebirth. She is the container of divine energy, emotion, and the sacred process. The man as the star. The five-pointed star, in this context, aligns with the masculine principle. The meaning, the symbolic meaning, action and protection, action and projection. Stars radiate light. This echoes the masculine as the projecting force, the spark of the sun, the word spoken into the void. Direction and geometry. The star implies movement, purpose, and order, embodying a principle of divine logic and intention. The male archetype can represent the traveler through the Duat, the one who seeks illumination and returns transformed. Alignment with the divine. Each point of the star corresponds to the five aspects of the soul, or the five elements. A man who attains balance becomes a luminous ek, or a shining one. Sacred union, the star within the circle. When the star, the man, is placed within the circle, the woman, this represents divine alchemy, the unification of the masculine and feminine to birth light, or Ra, the child of Nut and Geb. Initiation of the soul, the star's journey within the Duat, the womb of the woman, to die to the ego and to be reborn as divine light. Cosmic harmony, a metaphysical marriage of structure and flow, order and mystery, energy and containment. The subjective realm. We represent this as a circle, an empty circle. Sometimes we call this nothing, no things. There's nothing, no things. So again, we call this realm Nu or noon, and the objective realm, the realm of things, we have the process of involution. Coming from the inner planes of the inner planes, coming out of the realm of Nu, we have the nothingness involving itself into manifestation. And we call this involution. As we come down to the physical and we begin to evolve into the higher realms of our being, this is called evolution, to evolve. We have involution, involving ourselves into the world, and evolution, evolving ourselves out. So this realm we call, this process happens in what the realm that we call the Duat. And as we said before, the Duat has 7 prime levels. The first level and the grossest form, the physical form, is called the Khat. The second level we call the Khaibit, or the shadow. The third level we call the Sahu, or the spiritual body. Within the Sahu manifests the vital essence, the Ka. The fourth level is called the Eb, or Eve, translates as the heart. The fifth level is the Shechem, or power. The sixth level is Ku, enlightenment. Eku, Aku, Eku, enlightenment. And the seventh level is the Ba, the self-realized, to be self-realized. So, as we have our 7 levels named from the top to the bottom, we have the Ba, the Eku, the Shechem, the Eb, the Sahu, Kaibit, and last but not least, we have the Khat. So, like we have levels within levels, within levels, within levels, within levels, within levels. These are 7 spiritual bodies. In Mesoamerica, they represented this in this sculpture where we have a man's face revealing his inner being. In Kemet, one way we represented these levels is when we buried someone. Not everyone had this type of burial, but particularly in the case of Tutankhamen, we have what they call shrines, and each one is tucked within the other one, representing the different levels of manifestation. Here we have the physical body inside of the sarcophagus, and then a sarcophagus around that one, and then another sarcophagus around that one. Then we have this shrine made out of stone put around that. Then we have the next shrine around that, and the next shrine on 2. So the Khat, Kht, the physical, the people, the plural, the Khat. Khat is a part of the Duat that we use to function on the physical plane. The Khat refers to the physical body. The Khat has 5 sense organs that we use to experience the physical and the metaphysical plane. We have the ability to see, ears to hear, a sense of feeling and touching. We smell and we taste. These are the 5 sense organs that we use in order to interact with the physical and the metaphysical world. These become the doorways to the inner planes and the physical planes. The Kaibit, Kha, I, B, T. In this part of the Duat is the animating vehicle of the physical body. It is that which makes a person alive on earth, the astral body or the etheric double. This part of the Duat interacts with you through your inner astral five senses: the inner vision, your inner hearing, your inner sense of feeling, your inner sense of smelling, and your inner sense of taste. The Kemitic is also called the shadow. The Sahu, your life, your Ka, your life force, cycles on this plane of the Duat. Here, this is the hieroglyphic representation of the word Sahu. This is a seal with your name on it. What impressions are you living? Are you leaving? Or what impressions are you living? Here we have a representation of how this piece of jewelry is made.
So here we are today making a cylinder seal. This is also a rolling stamp. And I have an example right here that shows this deer. And it's got my name backwards. And it has these trees and mountains. And when I roll this on a piece of clay, I get this design. And look, here's a deer right here. And then I've got another one here. So what's going to happen is this thing as it rolls is going to be repeating and repeating and repeating. If you're making a bowl, say throwing a pot on the wheel, and it's still a little bit wet, you can move it all the way around the rim to go for a repeating pattern. It's a great thing.
What impressions are you leaving on the world? Sahu.
Now at the University of California at Los Angeles, a laboratory exists where researchers are attempting to capture this human energy on film. The process is called Kirlian photography, named after Seymour and Valentina Kirlian, Russian scientists who pioneered it in the 1930s.
Okay, if you place your finger on the top row of the film.
The subject places her fingertips on a sheet of photographic paper, which lies on top of an electrically charged plate. The paper is exposed and developed like an ordinary black and white photograph. The results, however, are not at all ordinary. These Kirlian motion pictures revealed that an energy field, or corona, exists around each fingertip as it does around different parts of the body. This corona, rather than remaining constant, varies with changes in the subject's state of mind. In one experiment, the subject, calm at the start, is pricked with an unpleasantly sharp object. The corona of her thumb, at first brilliant and wide, becomes increasingly smaller and less distinct under stress, until, with the subject at her most anxious, it almost disappears. In a reverse experiment, a tense subject is invited to have a drink and relax, under strictly controlled conditions, of course. At the outset, the subject is anxious. His corona is thin. After 9 ounces of alcohol, it becomes broader. After 14 ounces, it displays what you might almost call a rosy glow.
You certainly look more relaxed.
Yes, well, okay.
In an experiment done with cancerous and healthy rats, the results indicate a definite difference in the corona around their tails. The implications of this research are promising. If these tests are substantiated, perhaps one day Kirlian photography will be used as a tool in medical diagnosis. Every living thing radiates an energy all its own. Yet to what do these energy fields correspond? Kirlian photographs of plant leaves and flower petals have raised some curious and as yet unanswered questions. Normally, healthy plants have distinctive, colorful coronas. On a few occasions, when part of a leaf has been cut off, a strange ghost afterimage appears. Researchers call it the phantom leaf effect, but no one knows yet what it means. It happens when two human energy fields come in contact. Tim and Lois are lovers. Photographed alone, his finger's aura is blue and spiky. Hers is white and softer around the edges. When they touch, their coronas mix and mingle. In contrast, observe this Curlian photograph of people who are a little angry at each other. And this one, in which the person on the left is extremely hostile. Research has shown that the auras of the strong tend to dominate the weak, as can be seen in this Curlian family portrait. Mother and father at the top, child at the bottom, rather overwhelmed. Now at the University. Now,
What impressions are you leaving in the world? What type of energy signatures is being left behind? Your Khat, the life force, cycles on this plane of the Duat. This is the Kemitic Metu hieroglyphic for the word Ka. The ebb or ebe. The ebb is the heart. This is the Kemitic word for the world heart, not the physical heart. This is the world heart. This is the hieroglyph for the word ebb. Your heart's life force cycles on this plane of the Duat. Positive emotions such as love generate a harmonious pattern in the heart's rhythm, leading to coherence and greater emotional regulation. The heart's energies can reach about 3 feet outside of the physical body. It's possible to train your heart using a positive emotions so the brain more constantly releases chemicals that support healing and well-being. Ebb, like the movement of tides out to the sea, which we call the ebb tides. It is said that the heart beats before the brain forms. When the brain is dead, the heart continues to beat so long as it has oxygen. In fact, the heart has 40,000 neurons and ability to process and learn and remember. It also has its own emotions. Thanks to the field of neurocardiology, we are learning more about this intuitive nature of the heart and how we can apply this information to relationships we have and with ourselves and others. The Shechem. This is the hieroglyph for the word Shechem. Shechem literally means power, but not just political or physical power. It refers to spiritual power, divine energy, and vital force. The Ek or Eku, sometimes just called Ku. This is a being of light. This is your being of light. You're able to get to this level, you become a light being. The Eku is one of the aspects of the Duat in ancient Kemet. It represents the radiant, immortal self. The Ba.